Hey, y'all, welcome to the Common Good Podcast, the podcast that feels like it has to start with an intro.
We're obsessed with the introduction now, aren't we?
Nobody's quite sure why. Nobody likes it. Nobody's sure why it exists. It's just here.
I like it.
You do?
I do. I like the
Oh, that's nice.
bop my head with the.
Oh, you do that. Yeah, I do notice that. You do have a swagger in your
I've
seat.
got the rhythm inside me.
Hey, y'all. We're going to talk about a lot of things today about how people are standing up, and that's the only way you're going to stop Trump. Whether that's reporters at CBS fighting against the powers that be that want to keep Trump safe, or it's law firms, or it's clergy, it's common citizens. And then then Robb says, "Hey, did you see this story about the Epstein files?" And all of a sudden, here we go. So, all right. Well,
Breaking news.
Breaking news. And, just to let people know, we're going to have to talk about men who perform pedophilia as their pride and joy. Jeffrey Epstein, Larry Nassar, Donald Trump, this kind of thing. So at least these are the accusations from Jeffrey Epstein about Donald Trump. So it's just so sad. It's so dark. It's the reason Trump is trying to cover all this stuff up. It's just it's just terrible. Just terrible.
Yes.
But
on a happier note,
yes,
it's Christmas Adam. It's Festivus.
Hey, it's Festivus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Hey, I've started following a little website, a YouTube channel. Something about words. What words mean? Something.
Is that? I mean, you sent me something.
I did. I sent you something about how noon doesn't mean 12 o'clock.
And I clicked on it and saw it was 22 minutes long, and was like, "What? Why do you think I have time in my life right now to pause and watch a television show?"
Because you tell me on a weekly basis about the television shows you watch. That's why.
A friend sends a video.
It's
The expectation is you're gonna watch it right now.
Oh, you've been dumbed down by Instagram and TikTok. No, man, if something's not 22 minutes long,
no attention span left. Is that what you're saying? No.
If it's not 22 minutes long, it's not worth watching, in my book. Right. Hey, Peggy says, "Gotta love the song." I put up a song on the internet the other day. A lot of people haven't heard "Bridge Over Troubled Water," so I thought I would share it with the people. thought I would mansplain one of the greatest songs ever by playing it. But
or is Peggy referencing that, or is Peggy referencing the theme song of this here show of ours?
Well, I'm going to pretend
produced by producer Dan, I think.
Yes, and recorded by. Wow, that's embarrassing. I should have remembered. Boy, I'm trying to find this channel, and now
What are you working on?
I'm
trying to find this channel. Yeah. So I guess that's a question for the chat. Is what's the protocol when a friend sends a video? You watch it immediately, and does the length of it impact that? And is there some protocol? If you send a 22-minute video, should you give some kind of disclaimer, some kind of note, like, "Hey, I know this is long. Watch it when you have 22 empty minutes."
I don't need to tell you how to manage your time. If you think I can watch this tonight instead of watching a Netflix show, you can do it. If you want to pop it on in the car when you're driving, I'm not gonna tell you how you should.
Thanks. Yeah, I have a very carefully crafted entertainment routine. Podcasts, television shows,
like when you listen to what? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I got. This is not just wide open, empty space. This is not uncharted territory. This is not
Uh,
like the wild, wild west. I have I, someone's
Watch
not
it when you
agreeing
have
with.
time and feel like it. That's what I'm saying. Why feel pressured? Someone makes an offer.
Well, because
You're like the guy in the restaurant, and the server comes up and says, "Would you like the wine list?" And you're like, "What? What? This
Do I
is a
look like
Tuesday.
I
You
wanna
think I
drink
drink
wine?
wine on a Tuesday? I don't drink wine on a Tuesday. Do you think someone with this schedule can just all of a sudden decide on wine?
Wait,
I
what,
mean,
you think
what?
you think
I
I'm
have
just
time to
gonna
go.
sit here and get drunk and then not be able to drive home? What are you saying to me?
Hey, the website is called at
Yeah.
Robb Words 1B.
Oh,
Very simple man, Robb Words,
mhm.
and it's about words. It's about time. And he hasn't done one yet, but he really should do something about how for children, because this happened to my grandson, Christmas Eve
Mhm.
could mean the day before,
Mhm.
or it could mean Christmas evening, right?
No.
So anyway, it's we are Eve. We're on the double Eve, which is also Festivus, which I guess is a time to air the grievances. So
Yeah.
here we go. Hey, classic Minnesota days, 31 degrees today, snow on the ground, kind of melting, a little bit of sleet. You're going to slip around and fall. Great time for people in the, that sell all the fixtures for broken wrists. My friend across the street. If you work for a medical device company that has to do with broken wrists or surgery, this is just your season, baby. This is the season that just keeps giving. People slip and fall. In fact, I didn't slip and fall, but I have a thing on my wrist. I've got a sore wrist because that exercise routine I was talking to you about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I feel like it hurt my wrist.
Yeah. It's going to be 80 here on Christmas Day.
Really? Wow. We used to live in Dallas, Texas area for 2 years. We had children. They were 9 and 10. Around about 9 and 10. And on Christmas Day, we would turn up the heater in our pool, warm enough that we could go swimming and send pictures back to Minnesota friends. There was only 2 winners, but we did it both times. Just
That's
jack that
fantastic.
thing up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's great.
that's what
Yeah,
you do
and
when
I-
you live in the South.
Yeah. I told you, I'm not sure we consider Texas the South, but
I know. Why? I don't. Yeah.
yeah. Arkansas is barely the South.
Because it's an east-west thing, or it's a time it came into being.
I don't know.
Apparently, it doesn't have to do with latitude and longitude.
No, nothing at
not
all to
that.
do with that. No. New Mexico and Arizona, not the South.
No. Yeah, totally not the South.
I told you last week that had a little excitement about how the little hijinks that my 2 eldest children are going to be on a plane together, not knowing that they're going to be on a plane together on their way to Arkansas. And right now, they are on a plane together. Which
You
is
haven't
very-
received notification yet from one?
Well, actually, they're not quite on a plane together because their flight's delayed. But there was text this morning about, hey, my flight's delayed. And then the other one's, oh, mine is too, which made me laugh. And then we got the, hey, we're on the same flight.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
okay. Well, the big surprise of running into each other in the waiting area didn't happen.
Yes.
But well, good for you.
Yeah.
Hey, we put out an article in the Guardian
Yeah.
the other day. Clergy standing up. There's a lot of that. For the first 4 or 5 months of this administration, it was very depressing. You remember all that? It felt like hardly anyone was doing anything. Like a lot of us, I think me as a person, us as an organization, we felt shell-shocked by Trump's win. I think a lot of people felt that way. It was hard to get your bearings. But in the latter half of 2025, the good people of this country have rallied up, and people are starting to do the right things. They're starting to stand up. I mean, if you can account for even some staunch Trump-supporting Republicans, not enough, not all of them. I get it.
All
Who
those
knows their
qualifiers.
motivations? And look, if we, progressives are going to do anything, we're going to critique someone's motivation for the right thing they do. we will be sure to be there and
Or
say, but
timing.
why
What
did
took
you?
so long?
Yeah, we will shake a fist at the rationale and the speed and the timing. People are doing it. People are standing up. The Epstein files, clearly part of it. So much public pressure. I have not been a believer in public pressure to make lawmakers change their minds because it is so rare. I think it's a very shady, a very ill-advised strategy. But it worked in the Epstein files. Man, people,
Yeah, it is
because Trump
more,
supporting people lost their minds
yes.
about it.
It is in my sense. It is more about giving people a channel to vent, unleash, let go of that pent up energy. That like you need outlets for that kind of thing. And I think it's more about it's a little bit like a funeral celebration of life. It's more about the people who are left behind than it's the you know um it that yeah. So I think that's the case.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to Trump's chief of staff doing that long Vanity Fair article. I think that came out after we were done with the podcast last week.
I think we were on the podcast when it came out.
So that was very intriguing to me. It was hard to tell whether that was. I could think of three possible rationale for this, and if you're unfamiliar, you can look it up. But the chief of staff gave 11 interviews over the course of from election until publication with a reporter who then published in Vanity Fair. Stephen Miller, Marco Rubio, the whole crowd of criminals all gave interviews. I think it could be one of three things. One, it's sloppy out of recklessness. They wish they hadn't. The second is that she wanted to air all this stuff and get it on the record because she's flaunting it in front of everyone. Like, we don't care. We know this critique. We know Trump's tariffs make no sense. We know crushing USAID is ridiculous. We know that Elon Musk is a ketamine addict. We know Trump has a alcoholic's personality and is a difficult man to deal with, and you have to treat him as somebody who is different than everybody else. We don't care. Yep. Just take all the worst things and say, do you remember in the 80s or 90s, put that in your pipe and smoke it? A very strange phrase. Just take it as is. Who cares? Or the third is starting to cover your own hind end of your career to make it clear that you were calling this stuff out. I don't know where it lands. It doesn't seem to matter. It is, but it is clear to me that Donald Trump's team around him are already posturing. Dan Bongino, Dan Bongino is not a man of top-notch quality character in my estimation. Podcaster turned deputy FBI director, has resigned so he could go back to podcasting. Getting out of Dodge. Like, I am not going to get pinned with all of this Epstein cover-up business. Like, I've made my brand on being for releasing all the files. The FBI is not. This is what I think is going on with Bongino. But let's just name it as it is. Great name, Dan Bongino. I mean, come on. I mean, the fact that his family is not credited with one of the great, Italian restaurants outside of Omaha is just a real shame. Hey, honey, you want me to stop by Bongino's on the way home and pick up something for dinner? That's just it's a great name. It's a great town. So these people are starting to get out of town, but even more importantly, average citizens, neighbors speaking up. Rob, did I tell you that about last week when I was in? I think we were after the podcast as well. I'm sitting in a little cafe in South Florida, Naples, Florida.
Yeah.
Naples, Florida is a lot of things. Naples, Florida includes the zip code with the highest net worth in America, full of many older white people who have retired there, and is what one would call a Republican stronghold. Okay, it's a 70% voting city and county. I like to remind myself and others, look, you got 30 or 35% of people who, when they went to vote for Democrats. You look at a room, there's 3 people standing there, one of them's with you, like that. Sitting at the restaurant, a little cafe in the morning, 2 older gentlemen come in and sit down next to me. One says to the other, man, I just really thought he would be different this time. It's just so sad. I mean, we had to support him, but I thought he would finally, goes on and on about this. And then he goes on about how Trump had responded to Robb Reiner's murder. Like, just terrible. And then the other guy, of course, chimes in, well, think about what they said about Charlie Kirk, And I'm like, look, if you want to compare what Charlie Kirk has said about Americans versus what Robb Reiner has said, like Robb Reiner was political, but he wasn't saying women shouldn't work, that women should be under the authority of their husbands. Like, it's just madness. 2 old Republican men in Naples saying to each other, I'm done with the guy. It's just so sad and so ridiculous. That is what is happening all over. We've been talking about quiet quitting. These guys they're probably not going to tell their grandchildren or their wives or the friends at the country club, but sitting in the confines of a personal conversation in a restaurant, because they're older gentlemen, they spoke loud enough for people at the other table to hear, which is loud enough for them to hear each other. And there you have it. So I am very encouraged by the good people standing up.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Doug. While you've been talking, I've been looking at.
I know you didn't have time. It's 9:28. This is not your time to listen to Doug. This is your slotted time to read that news article. I'm with you. No. I see. No, I've got your day timer laid out in front of me in 10 minutes.
Day timer. Wow, that's an old reference. So there's been a new drop of documents, a new release of documents related to the Epstein investigation, and there are this time references to the President of the United States, and it is shocking, disconcerting, confirming. Now,
all right,
a couple of things. So with this, the Department of Justice, in posting on Twitter, the link to the new document release, also posted this. The Department of Justice has officially released nearly 30,000 more pages of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. Some of these documents contain untrue and sensationalist claims made against President Trump that were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election. To be clear, the claims are unfounded and false, and if they had a shred of credibility, they certainly would have been weaponized against President Trump already. Nevertheless, out of our commitment to the law and transparency, the DOJ is releasing these documents with the legally required protections for Epstein victims.
Okay. All right. This argument from Republicans that if any of the allegations about Donald Trump in the Epstein files were true, the Merrick Garland-led Justice Department would have
he was so active as an attorney general,
would have used those to attack a political enemy.
Yeah.
That's what they said. They used the words would have been weaponized against Donald Trump leading up to the 2024 election, or maybe even the 2020 election. Well, no, because Trump's attorney general was in charge in 2020. Would have been weaponized. The DOJ's normal job.
Some of these documents contain untrue and sensationalist claims made against President Trump that were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election.
Okay.
So these would have been submitted to the FBI when Trump was still president.
Yeah. But then I guess their assumption is that then, having been researched in 2021 and through 2024, they would have weaponized these. Right? Isn't that what it says? Doesn't it go on to say they would have
if
weaponized?
they were unprofessional political hacks?
Yes. So here's the thing. Look, the Justice Department's commitment has always been stated commitment to not be politically engaged, to charge crimes and only crimes. It is quite likely that what is in these documents is not something that a prosecutor would say, we are going to charge Donald Trump with a crime. That doesn't mean the allegations are not true. The things that we've heard today that you're about to tell us is part of the released documents are not illegal actions. They're immoral. They're terrible.
Some of them are illegal.
Well, they are not the kinds of things you would charge someone with a crime, which means the Justice Department's job is to not make that public. That's how Justice Departments work. The fact that the current Justice Department would say that a previous Justice Department would have used information for political gain tells you what they think about the world, not the way previous Justice Departments think about the world. This is emblematic of the very problem of this Justice Department and this administration. They believe you're supposed to use information you get in criminal investigations, not just to charge crimes, but simply to hurt your political opponent. They are terrible people at doing their jobs.
Yes.
It is.
Everything is seen through the lens of how can this benefit us politically? And that's the whole lens that they use. And, I Love and Life Always 8361 is, waiting patiently to hear about good people standing up. Yeah, totally.
I think I just went through a whole.
As we were going on the
that.
air, this new batch of Epstein files dropped. And so we kind of pivoted topic wise, because there are some bombshells. So apparently,
and I'll also say, look, the good people who stood up were the people who forced a law so that the Justice Department would have to release the information they're sitting on. We should all understand
the backlash after the first release of documents that seemed like, oh, come on.
Yeah, on Friday.
Oh, you're just going after Bill Clinton. It was transparently political.
Yep.
And everybody saw it. And that pressure now, on a big holiday like Festivus, trying to hide it, trying to bury this stuff on a Friday afternoon news drop, dropping this stuff right before Christmas. But that pressure, I think, caused the second release of documents, which includes many unredacted references to the President of the United States.
The Justice Department's job has not been to release information that they've collected in investigations that don't lead to criminal prosecutions. Mm-hmm. That's also the job of any law enforcement officer.
Sure.
That is not what they are supposed to do. Do people do it? Yes, they do it. Did the Biden Justice Department do it? Not that I could tell. Donald Trump's participation with Jeffrey Epstein over more than a decade may not have been something the Justice Department thought they could charge him criminally with that behavior. But it also means that people who look at Donald Trump will not see him being complicit, even though perhaps not criminally complicit. The difference between criminally complicit and morally complicit is dramatic. There are a lot of things that are wrong that people do that are not illegal, that don't reach the level of prosecution.
Yeah. And there are times when prosecutors make the decision not to prosecute, even when they have good evidence, because of other circumstances.
All kinds of, Look, we're not charging every person that's committed a crime with the fullness of every crime. Yes,
right.
absolutely.
I don't want to give the impression that what we're saying is the Justice Department reviewed everything and determined that Donald Trump didn't commit a crime in this situation. What we know is that the Justice Department under Merrick Garland did not pursue charges against Donald Trump. That's all we know.
Yes, and anyone else other than Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay, so
now, that's an important point, Rob.
Caveat being done. All that
okay,
caveat.
But that sits at, here's what's important. That sits at the argument base for a lot of the release the document Trump supporter people, because they were convinced by Trump and others that there were a bunch of Democrats who committed crimes and should have been prosecuted. That's what the release the documents was about, was to show, and that from their argument point, to show that there was preferential treatment being given to Democrats or progressives or powerful people.
All we can say is that they chose not to pursue criminal charges against anybody other than Epstein and Maxwell. That's it.
Yeah, but let's be.
It doesn't say anything about whether or not someone else committed crimes in the midst of this.
No, it doesn't. But look, I mean, legally, for legal purposes, we have a presumption of innocence.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good for us in our
proof,
in our public discourse to also carry that.
Yeah.
Right? Because if not, you can just say, hey, the person's not innocent. It's just they haven't brought charges yet. You know, that Doug Pagitt, he's not, there's no saying he hasn't committed crimes. All we can say is that the police have not yet arrested him. I mean, and that is not how, you see what I'm getting at? Like I just think we have to not, we can't expect the justice system to work in one way and then a bunch of us hold opinions about that system that basically implies guilt. Now, we can say, hey, that behavior that I saw that person commit or know that they commit or they've admitted committing, that seems like something that should have been charged. That we can argue about. But the absence of charges without knowing any details, I just think that becomes very, very precarious.
Yeah. Yes. And the point I am making, all of what you've said is true. And so, I would say yes, and the lack of charges does not mean that crimes weren't committed. It just means that charges have not been made. And the lack of charges does not say anything about the reason why charges were not made. And I'm saying is there's more reasons than just we looked at the charges and they're unfounded. And that's why, like, we looked at the accusations, they're unfounded. That's why we didn't bring charges. That is one reason why charges are not brought. There are other reasons at times why charges are not brought.
Okay. All right. Well, okay, I guess.
Okay, let's get into the meat of this. Okay, so there is in today's drop of documents, there is a handwritten note, handwritten letter from Jeffrey Epstein to Larry Nassar. For those that might not know or might not remember, because you're good people in the world living their lives, standing up and doing the right thing and not worried about all of the horrible people that are out there in the world. Larry Nassar is the gymnastics coach for the U.S. gymnastics team who was accused and convicted of sexually assaulting gymnasts in his care.
Yep. Over years. I mean, a horrible case. Yep.
Jeffrey Epstein wrote him a letter. Can we just pause there for a second on the, like, you're sitting in jail, that you're, an accused and convicted pedophile. You think like, man, like what should I do? Like, who understands what I'm going through? Who's been there? You want that person, not just, they say the difference between empathy and sympathy. Like, empathy is when, like, you haven't experienced, but you feel
Yep.
for the person. Sympathy is when you have experienced it, so you know exactly what it feels like.
Yep.
Who could be sympathetic to Jeffrey Epstein? And he's sitting in jail thinking, who really gets it? Oh, I bet Larry Nassar does. This is like what? Charles Manson writing a letter to Jeffrey Dahmer? Like, what, like, who really understands what I'm going through here? Just so that's bonkers.
Yeah. So to paint the picture so people really get it, while Jeffrey Epstein was in custody, in the same period of time that he's going to kill himself, he's writing letters from jail, which I find completely bizarre, that a man being held like that is penning out material and sending it, because people who are in federal prisons read every letter that goes out and every letter that comes in. Right? That's how it works. When you're in custody, you don't get to just write things. You don't get to just have phone calls unless you're with your attorney. If you're writing something that's going in outbound mail, someone's looking at it. So here, Jeffrey Epstein, in prison, days before his death, is writing letters, including to another well-known convicted pedophile, apparently trying to find the right address, which, as it turns out, this mail was returned.
Yeah.
It was undeliverable.
But, like, apparently the phone book in the federal penitentiary, needs to be updated.
Thumbing through the white pages, going down like we used to as kids to find the address.
Here we go. Here's what the handwritten note says. Dear LN, and let me tell you this, the use of initials by these, I've noticed this with, like, some of the Epstein file stuff that I've perused. The use of initials is just weird. Dear LN, as you know by now, I have taken the short route home. Think a reference to the fact that this letter will probably arrive after Jeffrey Epstein has committed suicide.
It was postmarked, sent out 3 days before his death, right?
As you know by now, I have taken the short route home. Good luck. We shared one thing. our love and caring for young ladies and the hope they'd reach their full potential. Gross. Our president shares our love for young, nubile girls. When a young beauty walked by, he loved to grab, snatch, whereas we ended up snatching grub in the mess halls of the system. Life is unfair. Yours, J. Epstein.
Okay, so that's the letter. They have handwriting analysis that the FBI has done. Was unconclusive, apparently, whether it can be confirmed as being Jeffrey Epstein's. This letter gets mailed out of the prison, is returned to the prison. The letter's in the hands of the Justice Department. And now, after all these years, from 2019 until 2025, like September or something of 2019, so 6 years, this thing has been sitting around. Now it's released.
Its existence was reported on back in 2023. That Epstein had tried to contact Larry Nassar.
Yes,
that was reported on back in 2023.
The contents of the letter are just now coming out.
Yeah.
When you first told me this today, Rob, my reaction might be like a lot of people right now, like, that cannot be real. Come on.
Yeah.
This guy is sitting in prison writing that kind of letter to someone, confessing and implicating Donald Trump in this sideways way to Larry Nassar. Like, it feels just like, what on earth? Now, maybe this is the kind of crazy making that crazy people do. Maybe when a man is at the brink that he is at, he's broken. Now he is just reeling inside of a cell, thinking about his own demise and his own death, right? There's a way in which you read this the way you did, which was slow and methodical. You could also imagine someone penning this in sort of manic, not delusional that he's making up things, but
just that kind of that hyper spastic energy.
Yes, I'm writing this thing to him, and I'm writing this like, look, how many letters did Jeffrey Epstein ask to be mailed from the prison? Would be a very good question. To whom and whose responsibility in the prison was it to read those outgoing mail? Because unless I am mistaken, you are not sending mail from a federal penitentiary where you are under severe restriction without somebody looking at it. So people know what mail went out from Jeffrey Epstein. I'm sure it is logged. There is no doubt in my mind that they keep a log of.
And who reads this and puts it in the outgoing mailbox? You know, you got the trays on the desk, like the, inbound and outbound. Who reads this and goes, okay? And that is shocking. And I know this is a side thing with this letter. There is, as I've looked at the pictures that have made the rounds of the first drop of documents, there is a swarmy, gross, icky vibe with all of these guys. You see Bill Clinton, you see and it's just it's
gross.
The grossness of it just dripping off of all of them. And even in this letter, the grossness of the grab,
Yeah.
snatching, grub,
It's just so.
it's just like, ugh. Ugh.
And okay. This is not going to be the end of this or the worst thing that we're going to see come out,
No,
right?
because there's another document that I read
Can,
while you were
well, I
while
was
you were talking
waxing
earlier.
eloquently about good people standing up and doing the right thing, loving
Yeah,
life.
yeah. Include apparently one of those good people could be the limo driver who picked Donald Trump up from, or was taking Donald Trump to DFW Airport and recounted to the FBI the conversation he heard. This was in 1995. Recounted to the FBI. This is from the document. He noted he picked up Trump in 1995, took him to the DFW airport, reported some of the things Trump had spoken about during the ride while on a cell phone were very concerning. Reported he has, quote, he was a few seconds from pulling the limousine over on the median and within a few seconds of pulling him out of the car and hurting him due to some of the things he was saying. As the caller chose not to. Noted Trump continuously stated the name Jeffrey while on the phone and made references to abusing some girls. Was unsure who he was talking to or who he was referencing. And he also talked about his time meeting Donald Trump immediately. Some of this is redacted. Demeter went stone cold. And she stated, "He raped me." He said, "What?" As he replied, Donald J. Trump had raped her along with Jeffrey Epstein, noted some girl with a funny name, took me into a fancy hotel or building that is now, and that's how it happened. And then apparently the girl that made this accusation was found dead and noted that she was found with her head, quote, blown off. Officers on the scene stated that there's no way it was suicide. The coroner stated it was suicide. Just like, this is like stuff we see on television shows.
Yes.
These are like the plots of a Law and Order episode or a CSI.
Yeah,
this is not the kind of thing that we think any of us are going to actually encounter in life. We think this is fanciful stuff that doesn't actually happen. And here we have accusations made against the President of the United States.
Yes.
It's deeply, deeply concerning.
And what is so maddening about it is the fact that so many of us are just now finding out about this level of detail. I recognize the predicament that law enforcement officers are in when they hold information like this and don't know what to, are not going to charge a crime, but it would benefit people from knowing about it.
Yeah.
That for a long time, all the release the documents, where's the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, felt to me like it was
a little bit like the Area 51 UFO stuff.
Yes.
You'd put it in that category.
Well, or just a political conspiracy kind of way of thinking. The government's always covering things up and they have information on these powerful people and we have the right to know it. This level of specificity, and what we don't know is, are there also limo drivers who are giving descriptions of other people that were in Jeffrey Epstein's orbit? Like the thing we care about is that one person in the United States at a time is given the power of the presidency. One person at a time. When they have that power, it is incumbent upon us to know everything we need to know about the quality and character of that person. This is why it matters for the reputation of Bill Clinton. If he was involved with Larry Nassar, if he was involved with Jeffrey Epstein, if he was having sex with underage girls or young girls who had been courted from their underage status into adulthood, that matters for the reputation of the man. Does it put the United States in jeopardy? No. Should he be charged if crimes were committed? Yes. But Donald Trump, in his role, before we even get to the particularities of Donald Trump in his role as the President of the United States, to be distracted and having to go into prolonged cover-up of this information because the one person who knows what Donald Trump has done is Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. So when Jeffrey Epstein is arrested, dies in prison, and information starts to come out, this guy should be worrying about it nonstop. The reason that presidents, candidates, people who are going to be appointed to positions of power in the government are vetted by the FBI and the CIA is to be sure that there's not a level of entanglement that makes the person vulnerable.
Yeah, vulnerable to be blackmailed, to be used by foreign agents,
to be distracted, all the rest of it. Because that letter right there that you've read, that grand jury testimony of the lawyer, or something that was submitted in written testimony as grand jury testimony, a bunch of people know it exists. Right? No matter how tight you want to keep the circle, information that's held in a criminal case is known by more than one person.
Yep.
It's not a secret. It's just something kept close. Well, that makes a person extraordinarily vulnerable. And there are so many people who would otherwise support Donald J. Trump's attitude and policies and not being a Democrat and all the yada yada that you get out of all the, anti-democratic Democrat Party forces in the Republican ecosystem, that would find this level of depravity of the man to be deeply concerning.
Yeah. We sound like
concerning.
Susan Collins saying deeply concerning. I said deeply troubling. Let's just be, crystal clear. As Reginald D. Johnson, 8092 says, Trump is completely unfit for office. Yes. It's more than just, I'm not sure I would, enjoy having a beer with this guy. No. This is a person who should not be president of the United States, who cannot be trusted to lead our country, who is subject to blackmail, is vulnerable to that, has proven that he cannot make wise and consistent and sustainable decisions that are in the best interest of the country. Here's a person whose judgment, whose character, whose qualifications are just not at all what we need in the Oval Office, in the Situation Room, like determining the fate of millions of people. Like this guy we could debate and talk about whether or not he belongs in a jail cell. What we absolutely can agree on is He doesn't belong behind the Resolute desk.
Yes. If you're going to argue, as his team does, in a unitary executive theory, that the president is essentially unbound in things that the president determines to be in the president's scope, you are really raising the stakes of who the person that sits in that executive seat is.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are an awful lot of us who say things like, it doesn't matter who the president is, everything is sold out, all that kind of, everything is the same, all the parties are the same, it doesn't make any difference. Okay, if you hold that view, you may not care as much about who the character is. If you believe, on the other hand, that the executive in the executive branch has a unitary power that is separate from all the other powers in the government and is not restrained by the other branches of government, then that individual matters.
Yeah.
And this man is not just a boys will be boys, because the consistency of him bragging about sexually assaulting women and just grabbing them, and for that to come up over and over and over. I know the boys will be boys talk let a lot of people off the hook, but this kind of thing,
yeah,
it's not. Now, I want to say to the people who are going to talk to their friends about it, or people are going to hear about this, or it's going to come up over Christmas or just after Christmas, here's what they're going to say. Here's what the Trumpers are going to say. One of two things. It was a long time ago. It's not true. Jeffrey Epstein was just trying to slander Donald Trump. Didn't happen. It's unfounded. It's made up. Completely untrue. When you hear that, know that is the only thing someone has to say. Because here's what they're not going to say. It's not a big deal. Yeah. These are Trump's, this is Trump's playbook. He has one of three things. I didn't do it. Untrue. I did it, but it doesn't really matter. It was a long time ago. This is what he's got. No reasonable person is going to think that when Jeffrey Epstein...
No, I mean, the other one is everybody did it. Bill Clinton did it.
There you go. Everyone did it.
Bill Clinton.
It's not something to be concerned about. It's what we did.
And can we say with complete transparency, if Bill Clinton raped young girls, or anyone else for that matter, and he is charged, indicted, convicted by a jury of his peers, and sentenced, let him spend the rest of his life in prison too.
Yes.
This is not...
And if Bill Clinton grabbed young girls or women by their genitalia in an act of sexual assault, he should not be someone who is being honored.
Right.
We should get to the bottom of that.
Yeah. I want to say something about that phrase that you just said, to someone to be honored. Because there's been, over the last few days, there's been a number of things that have happened that have got me thinking about this. You know, honoring someone, and you often hear, especially sometimes in movies and maybe even some like older, like I've watched some Viking shows and stuff, and there's this idea of like someone's name not being forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this idea that as their name is not forgotten, like they continue to live on. And we have a history here in the United States of frankly, as human beings, of naming things after people that we want to make sure are not forgotten. People that we want to make sure live on. And there's something special and good and important about saying collectively, hey, this is someone we don't want to lose from our consciousness because of the impact they have had on our culture, on our society. This is someone we want to remember. In some way, we want them to live on. That honoring is a good and appropriate and wonderful thing. And it doesn't have to just be people I agree with or like I can recognize that presidents that I have disagreed with have had profound impact on the country, and they should be remembered.
Right. You fly into Grand Rapids and you're going to fly into Gerald
Ford,
Airport.
Yeah. And
Reagan National.
Reagan National. And by the way,
Kennedy.
Listen, let me tell you.
Airport.
The Gerald Ford Presidential Museum in Grand Rapids is the best presidential library I've ever been to.
Wow.
And I've been to a bunch.
That's saying something.
Fantastic. It's great. It is great. So next time you're in Grand Rapids.
Yeah. Or we name fields after sports coaches, or we name, significant roads after people that have done meaningful things. Yeah, we do this
Donald
to
Trump has
honor
become
names.
Donald Trump over the course of his life has become a bit of a punchline because he has the tendency to put his name on everything.
Yes. He self-names things.
He puts his name on buildings.
Yeah.
You go to Chicago and it's really difficult to avoid the Trump building. Like it just kind of looms and you see his name. This guy, you don't want to spend any time thinking about. There is his name. He puts his name on buildings. He's put his name on ties. He's put his name on stakes. He's put his name on a university. He's put his name on crypto. He's put his name on a cell phone network. He's put his name on and on golf courses.
Kennedy Center.
Oh, well, I'm getting there. On and on and on we could go. And I guess in your private life, if you want to have a brand that is your name, and you want to make sure it lives on, okay, Henry Ford lives on through Ford Motor Company, and his name is on every vehicle made by the company he founded. Okay, That makes sense.
Like Jesus Chrysler.
That's funny.
Great car manufacturer.
I've never heard Jesus Christ.
I've never heard it either. I just made it up.
You just made that up?
Yeah, I just made that up. Yeah.
There's a whole bit around Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
that's great. That's great.
When you are the president of the United States, it is not appropriate. It is not good form.
Yep.
It is. I was about to curse and I stopped myself.
Keep it family friendly around here.
Icky and gross.
Yeah, and misuse of power. Yeah.
And misuse of power. And it shows that you are terrified that the people collectively will not remember you. The people collectively will not recognize your goodness. You're so insecure that you're so scared that your precious contributions are not going to be seen for what they are.
Yeah.
In your estimation, that you have got to. And Donald Trump did this in his first term when he wanted to sign all the checks that went out during COVID.
Yeah.
And now in the last couple of weeks, in the last week, we have seen multiple instances of him slapping his name on stuff that has no business having
Yes.
his name.
Yeah, it's not his call. Yeah, it's just. And what does have his
In
name
his-
on it are letters from Jeffrey Epstein to Larry Nassar,
yeah.
stories from limo drivers who actually remember him.
Yeah. TrumpRx.gov that he announced in that manic speech he gave the other night, which we haven't even had a chance to talk about.
No.
Like,
'Cause
listen,
it's not worth talking about.
TrumpRx.gov. You're trying to replace quote unquote Obamacare, which, by the way, let me tell you, Obama didn't name it Obamacare.
No, it's not called
Republicans
Obamacare.
named it Obamacare, and it's not actually called that. It's the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah.
TrumpRx.gov, like it's Trump University or Trump Steaks.
Or ties. Ties from
And
made
then
in China.
the Kennedy Center.
Yeah. No, look. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Putting his name on the Kennedy Center. That is now the Donald J. Trump and John F. Kennedy Center.
Yeah.
And then yesterday, this new fleet of ships, the Trump fleet.
Yeah. It's just look. It is recognized as sad and pathetic.
It is sad and pathetic, but I think it's rooted in this deep fear that he's going to be forgotten. And listen, may we never forget
Yes.
this guy.
Right. What?
And may we never do this again.
Hey, we started watching that TV show that you somehow found time to watch, Struck by Lightning or Lightning in a Bottle or
Death by Lightning.
Death by Lightning.
So good. Are you loving it?
Yes. Yeah. 3.
So good.
We're just about to go to the 4th and final episode. It's about James Garfield becoming president and his assassin. I had to ask the internet.
Yes.
Did
it really happen?
Did Chester Arthur become president after Garfield? If you made me name all the presidents, I wouldn't. If you had said to me, a quick yes or no for $1,000, was there a president with the last name Arthur? I would have gotten it wrong. I am not a historian, apparently. I am no Doris Goodwin. Nope. Didn't know.
Kearns.
Thank you. Didn't know
Kearns Goodwin. Yeah.
that he was a president. You know what?
Oh, I could have named Chester A. Arthur just because of like the great mustache, like connected to the lamb chops.
I knew the name Chester A. Arthur, that he was president. Look, a guy now.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, from 1880.
Played in the show amazingly. Played in the show amazingly by Nick Offerman.
Yeah, it's great.
Just fantastic.
But I forgot about him. Right? For a forgettable character in human development or in national development. Forgettable.
Yeah.
You know who won't be forgotten? Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Who has destroyed this country. And that's why he made those stupid plaques. All those plaques, friends, I know it seems like this will never end. It's going to end. He's going to move out of the White House. All that stuff's going to be taken down.
Wait. Oh, the next president who can take down all of that gilded garbage that's on the walls.
And look, it's not going to matter.
I know.
Whether it's someone we want to vote for or someone else. They're all going to take it down. Because the man will be moved along. But for all the people who are going to say to you some version of, he didn't do it, they all did it, it's just political smear, I want to suggest to you attack with your friends and family, or casual neighbors, or people at a cafe.
Or a cigar shop.
Suggest to them this. I know you believe it's not true, but let me just ask you, if it were true, would it matter to you? Those are two different questions. Do you think it is true, And if this were true, would it matter? So if you can start people in that helpful hypothetical where only their opinion, not the facts, are going to be questioned, would it matter to you? Because if the answer is no, it still wouldn't matter.
Oh, well, okay. That says something.
Then you know. Then convincing them that it happened, that it matters, is not your job. Mm-hmm. If you're with people who say, of course it would matter, of course, then that's your opportunity, your invitation, perhaps your calling, that's your place to stand up. Would it matter? And look, there were a lot of people who, with Bill Clinton, with his affair with Monica Lewinsky and his behavior following that affair, said, even if it's true, it's not really going to matter that much. Right? Mm-hmm. No one is doubting that it happened. No one. He's admitted it. He's apologized for it. He's moved on. Monica Lewinsky has had to deal with it her entire life. All the people around her, all the people on the grand jury, all this stuff. People said, took it in, calculated it, wouldn't make a difference. So if Larry Nassar was telling the truth about Donald Trump when he wrote, or Jeffrey Epstein was telling the truth when he wrote to Larry Nassar about Donald Trump, would that matter to you if it were true? That's an now there's a lot of ways you can say that to somebody. Saying it in a more invitational way can just invite the person to consider that it would matter, as opposed to it didn't happen, it's not true, it's just spin. I think it's hard for a lot of us to recognize how many Trump supporters feel barraged by the attacks on Donald Trump. I feel barraged by the attacks on Donald Trump as I hurl them. Like, if you wanted to get me started on all the things I would oppose Trump on, it is a long list. So there's a whole lot of people who support him are just like, I'm just not listening to any of it. It's just all, it's the way I feel when I hear, Jim Jordan say something about Biden crime family. Like, okay, show it or don't, but just stop talking about it, because you're clearly never going to do anything or show anything or find the laptop or do the bank records or anything. And you think this Justice Department's not doing its job prosecuting the greatest criminal in the history of presidencies? Of course not. So when I hear them critique and lie, it's just like, it's just nonsense. I scroll right by. There are millions of people in the United States who do that with Donald Trump. They just ignore all of it. Yeah. Try a Facebook post, an Instagram post, a text with someone that says, if it were true what Jeffrey Epstein has said about Donald Trump to Larry Nassar, would that matter to you? Our Lord and Savior, whose commemoration of his name and a combination winter solstice mass and birthday celebration,
and apparently car manufacturer,
we're going to experience this week, saving for the Orthodox Church, it's going to hold off for a bit until January, has this great phrase: speak your piece. If it doesn't come back to you, knock the dust off your feet, leave them be. That doesn't mean never say anything. That doesn't mean stay quiet. It doesn't mean don't engage. It means offer and then don't get attached.
Yep.
Offer it up. Would it matter if it were true? It's helpful. Mm-hmm. And to the rest of us, would it matter if it were not true?
Yep.
Like there's this thing going around about J.D. Vance. Some people might not know who that is, but he's the vice president. I only say that because like the vice president in every administration, like 30% of the population or 40% knows who it is. It's crazy, right? It's just the most wild thing when they do like public polling. Like, what percentage of people know who the vice president is?
You did not know that Chester A. Arthur was James A. Garfield's vice president.
No, and then became president for 3.5 years. Okay.
Yeah.
People don't always know, but J.D. Vance, there's this rumor started that J.D. Vance would pleasure himself in a couch. It's not true. The person who started that has said, I just made it up. There's nothing true about it. And yet it persists in jokes, in comments, in statements. And I have heard multiple people in my world when I'll say, you do know that's not true. They're like, yeah, I know, but he's the kind of guy who would do stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. It's a deeper critique. Yeah, that fact is not the fact, but he strikes me as the kind of guy who would do that, even though we know he didn't do that. Okay, this is a character assessment application. Can think a lot of things about Donald Trump. I think it really matters. Not only if Jeffrey Epstein believed Donald Trump behaved that way, but also if Donald Trump behaved that way. And you know why I think Donald Trump behaved that way, the way that Jeffrey Epstein says it? Is because Donald Trump bragged about it.
Yep.
He said they let you do it. That matters to me.
Yep.
I mean, I was done with the guy before. I thought that would be fully disqualifying. A bunch of people said, looked, saw it, either believed it didn't happen, that he was just making it up, and I'm not bothered by somebody who just lies about sexually assaulting women. Yeah. That they did it, but they didn't really do it. This is the weirdest thing to me about people who are like, no, he just said he did that stuff. He didn't actually do it. And when you say to them, would it matter if he did? Well, of course it would, but he didn't. Then it doesn't bother you that he would say he did something that if he did it would be disqualifying. Like, it's just, wow. Wow. Because people don't want to admit that if he did it, it still wouldn't matter to them. And that can be a real gift to somebody to have to recognize that that's the case. That they treat Donald Trump and their support of him with the full love and acceptance of no matter what you do, it will never go away. And look, as we say all the time, the human capacity to care and forgive, yes, that should be without restraint. Should every person be the president of the United States and have their name honored if they don't fix the harm they've done? No. Those are two different things.
Yeah.
This will not be the last piece of news coming out from the Epstein. I mean, this was on day release 2. And now, unless the Justice Department said, let's front load all of it, the worst stuff we've got.
They didn't, because they would have, in release 1, this would have been all part
Sure, but they did release 1. Unless they front loaded into the early stages of this, there's going to be more. And at some point, each individual is going to have a chance to say. Now, of the 74 million people that voted for Donald Trump, is it 70 million that are going to pay no attention to this? I don't know what the number is.
Yeah.
But when his name is associated with this and the Republican Party continues to support him, it's going to be very hard for many people to support Republicans in the next election.
Yeah.
Because people vote, as we've said so many times, in a way that makes them feel good about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And you just feel like, I don't want to have anything to do with that.
Yeah.
Just.
Yep.
Well.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Hey, and also just remind all of us, remind each other, we shouldn't have to be going through this.
That's right.
We should not have to be fighting about whether we believe that the convicted pedophile writing to another pedophile implicating Donald Trump in that very action was telling the truth. We shouldn't have to do this. As we said during his first administration, this is another day where, for the good of the country, the man should resign. Mm-hmm. Turn it over to somebody else, like J.D. Vance, or have the whole crew resign simultaneously and let Mike Johnson become the president of the United States. Find some way to step away so we can stop talking about this. In the words of Ronald Reagan, whose presidential library sits deeply in the heart of one of us, it's time for this national nightmare to end.
Yeah, Gerald Ford, not Ronald Reagan.
Did I say Ronald Reagan?
You did, yeah.
As Gerald Ford said, it's time for this national nightmare to end. Mm. And then pardon Nixon. Yep. Hey, Rob, would you take this deal? Donald Trump resigns, J.D. Vance pardons him. Would you take that deal?
Ooh.
Hey, I'll step it up. J.D. Vance or Donald Trump resigns only under this deal. J.D. Vance pardons him at the federal level, and every governor pardons him in their state.
Yes.
Would you take the deal?
Yep.
That's a good one. That's like one of those, if you went back in history and you could kill Hitler kind of questions,
would you
right?
Kill baby Hitler?
Yeah, would you? Right? If Donald Trump was pardoned by J.D. Vance and all 50 governors in exchange for his...
Yeah, I know you would take that.
I would take that deal in a minute. Yeah. In fact, I call for that deal right now.
Yes, please.
Let's offer that.
Right. Well, Doug, it is about time for me to head to the airport to pick up my children for the Christmas holiday. Wow. And I am hoping that the words Trump and Epstein get used very infrequently during our
yes,
vacation.
I don't want to say it again until next week.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. I will be uttering those words, I know. Hey, are you going to pick up your children at the airport wearing a tie and open collared shirt?
Probably. Okay. That's what I'm wearing today.
You're gonna. Well, okay. Yeah, you're not going to throw on a quick hoodie or something just to run to the airport and tone it down a little?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, it's like your hat.
We're ratcheting this thing up a little bit.
You didn't go for the bow tie like you've done in the past, like that. You left that in your Republican identity, huh?
I actually, the bow tie guy was my brand when I was a salesperson. And we had conversations about whether or not I should be wearing a bow tie as part of my brand here as running for Congress. And my wife said no. She said no to the bow tie. So
because she didn't want you to be conflated with the sales guy, or she doesn't care for the
she didn't want me to be
conflated
tie with Paul Simon. I don't know. Paul Simon, famously Illinois senator who was known for wearing a bow tie. No, I think
also
I think she
author of
that
Bridge Over Troubled Water.
Different Paul Simon. Wow,
we find over on my screen.
I think she thinks the vertical tie might be more slimming than the horizontal tie.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't know.
I can see that. Well, you have a lot more options, frankly.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
you
listen, when you're a fatty Arbuckle, you
Well, you're not gonna let
who
that go, are
apparently
you?
is a real person from history. My
Oh,
sister
was he a
sent me a
president?
Wikipedia. No, vice president. No, no, he was a mobster, I think, from like 1920 Chicago. My sister sent me a Wikipedia page about
Oh, is this
Fatty
because you
Arbuckle.
shared this in the family chat?
Oh yeah,
Your thing
totally.
from
Yes, being called
Good
Fatty Arbuckle.
grief. Good grief. All right. Well, hey, Merry Christmas
Merry
and
Christmas.
happy holidays because they're the holy days. And we'll see y'all. I think we'll be on next week, but hold that loosely.
Oh, you got something better to do?
Never.
Never.
Never doing something.
All right,
better.
I
I
gotta go
just,
to the
you know, it's
airport.
that real in between time. It's the
Yeah, it really is. It's just totally lost the week between
yeah,
Christmas and New Year's.
yeah. Okay.
And then,
All right, Joe.
and then we have the week between New Year's and Rob's birthday.
Huh?
Yeah, we can
When's your
talk
birthday?
about
When's your birthday?
January 8th. We can talk about how in a couple of weeks we can talk about how a year ago we were in the communist country of Cuba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great. Just great. We should go back.